Today on Variant, we talk about the history of KillerFrost and Vibe, because why the heck not? Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than Oprah loves bread. I'm your host, Arris. Before I get into today's episode, I just want to remind everyone that this Saturday, January 28th, I'll be hanging out at the Lost Toys here in Dallas, Texas from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'll be selling a bunch of collectibles and action figures from my personal collection, because my man cave is only so big, people. I'll be bringing a bunch of DC and Marvel stuff, most of which has never been opened. Plus, the guys over at the Lost Toys have built a very cool place to check out all kinds of collectibles, from comic books to Star Wars to Transformers. But whether or not you want to get your hands on some collectibles or not, be sure to stop by to hang out and talk some geekdom with us. I'll put the address and all the details in the description below, and I hope to see you there Saturday. Anyway, today I'm going to give you guys the history of both KillerFrost and Vibe, because their histories are pretty short, so it made sense to do both of them in one episode. Plus, Flash Season 3 returned yesterday, so of course I could not resist. Let's start this off with KillerFrost, Caitlin Snow KillerFrost to be exact, because there have been several different versions of KillerFrost over the years, such as Crystal Frost and Louise Lincoln. But since Caitlin Snow is the one people are most familiar with because of the Flash TV show, that's the one I'm going to talk about. Caitlin Snow first appeared in Fury of Firestorm, The Nuclear Man, issue 19 in June 2013, and was created by Dan Jurgens. Dr. Caitlin Snow was a young scientist who worked for Star Labs, and was sent to one of their Arctic outposts. They sent her there to work on a self-sustaining thermodynamic ultraconductor engine after the death of the engine's creator, Louise Lincoln, which is a pretty familiar name. As I've said on the show many times, in the world of comic books, working on something scientific is the best way to become a superhero or supervillain. Well, sure enough, after finishing work on the engine, Caitlin is attacked and trapped inside the engine by her fellow co-workers, who are revealed to be working for Hive. So of course she tried to escape, but frantically ripped off the coolant system, merging her body with ice, and as you might have guessed, this changed her and gave her the ability to control and manipulate the cold. After which, she killed the Hive agents out of revenge. After hijacking the helicopter, she flew back home and made herself a suit, which retained her heat even longer. She then has a run-in with Firestorm, and soon realizes that Firestorm is probably the only person who can cure her condition. But Firestorm and the rest of the Justice League are said to be killed by the Crime Syndicate during the Forever Evil event. From here, she plays a decent part in the Forever Evil storyline, and helps Steve Trevor get Wonder Woman's lasso of truth to Cyborg in order to free his teammates. Later, in DC Rebirth, Caitlin is captured to join the Suicide Squad, where she helps in their fight against the Justice League. And speaking of the Justice League, she is soon going to be joining the new Justice League of America team, made up of Batman, Lobo, Black Canary, Vixen, the Ray, and the Atom. Now let's move on to Francisco Ramon, aka Vibe. He first appeared in Justice League of America Annual 2 on October 14th in 1984. He was created by Jerry Conway and Chuck Patton. With Vibe, I'm going to stick to his New 52 origin since that's the most current. Cisco is the youngest of three brothers, and one day while he was walking with them on the sidewalk, out of nowhere, a boom tube appeared, and Cisco accidentally walked into it. His oldest brother, Armando, not thinking, pulled him out and was killed by a parademon in the process, becoming the first victim of the Darkseid invasion. But now you're like, Arris, did walking into the boom tube give Cisco powers? Well, yes. Yes, it did, friends. It altered Cisco's body, allowing him to create seismic vibrations, but also giving him the ability to sense beings from other dimensions, even beings as small as an ant. But Cisco didn't tell anyone about his powers for 5 years, although he did secretly help people during that time. And thanks to his power set, no device could capture his face or identity. However, Amanda Waller eventually assigned Dale Gunn of Arris to follow him. Later, Dale offered Cisco a chance to kill the parademon who killed his brother, and needless to say, he takes this opportunity to avenge his brother and kills that parademon. He is then given a costume and the name Vibe by Arris, and became a founding member of the New 52 Justice League of America. Shortly after, Dale asked Waller if that was in fact the same parademon that killed Cisco's brother, and she just replied, "How should I know? They all look alike," which is just messed up. That's messed up, Waller. Anyway, as for Vibe in DC Rebirth, I don't think he's made an appearance yet. I could be wrong, but from what I know, he hasn't. But that's pretty much the brief history of both characters, at least their most current history from the New 52. Their histories before the New 52 isn't all that elaborate because, to be honest, they're not really A-list characters like the Joker or Flash. However, their popularity is definitely growing because of the Flash TV show. With that said, let's talk about powers and abilities, starting with KillerFrost. Caitlin Snow is able to create and control the cold. She can absorb heat from pretty much anything, store it in her body, and change it into ice. Because of this, she can control the cold and make ice weapons. She's also permanently covered with a layer of frost, hence her name being KillerFrost. As I mentioned earlier, she can absorb the heat of others for herself, killing them in the process, which is why she's called a heat vampire. She does this because much like a vampire who needs blood to survive, she needs the heat of others to survive. She's also a genius, but her need to steal heat from others leaves her pretty much useless in areas with no heat to absorb. Now let's move on to Vibe. He can create seismic vibrations strong enough to take down buildings. He can also sense beings from other dimensions. And like I said before, he's nearly impossible to capture on camera because of his constant vibration. We also know that Vibe can walk into other dimensions or worlds in the multiverse. In fact, the main reason why Waller picked him as a member of the JLA in the New 52 is because his powers are capable of cutting off Flash's connections to the Speed Force, making Flash powerless. Now let's get to some reading recommendations for both KillerFrost and Vibe. You have the Forever Evil event, Justice League of America issue 7.2, Justice League of America KillerFrost Rebirth issue 1, Justice League of America Vibe Volume 1 Breach, and Justice League of America Volume 1 World's Most Dangerous. As I'm sure you know by now, the new Logan trailer hit last Thursday, and man oh man is it amazing. The whole tone of this movie is just completely different from what we've seen from any Wolverine movie so far. It almost has sort of a Western vibe going on. The relationship between Logan and X-23 also looks awesome. I'm really excited to see how the movie's gonna explore that. From the looks of it, it looks like they're gonna handle it very well. It's just crazy to me that we're actually going to see X-23 in a live-action movie. For those of you who don't know, she was created by Weapon X from a damaged sample of Wolverine's DNA. So she's Logan's clone and or daughter, and she's currently the Wolverine in the comics. My favorite part in the trailer by far is when she's walking towards Donald Pierce while her claws are coming out and he's all like, "No. No. No." That was such a great moment and really sets the tone that this little girl is not to be messed with. In short, this trailer is awesome. Every aspect of it looks good. It even looks like it's gonna have a good amount of humor. And who doesn't like to laugh? Serial killers. That's who. I mean, they laugh, but for a different reason entirely. Lastly, how cool would it be if at the end of the movie they kill Wolverine, since this is the last time Hugh Jackman will be playing the character, and they allude to X-23 becoming the new Wolverine, just like in the comic books. I'd definitely be down to see something like that. First up for Wednesday, January 25th, we have Extraordinary X-Men issue 18. The X-Men have waged war on the Inhumans, and the X-Men's resident genius Forge has just been dispatched on a mission crucial not just to the X-Men's success, but their survival. Here we have The Flash issue 15. All I should say is that Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Golden Glider, Weather Wizard, and Heatwave are back. And finally, we have Deathstroke issue 11. I'm super excited about this issue purely because we get to see the Creeper. He comes to Chicago to investigate a series of murders and comes face to face with Deathstroke. And that brings another episode of Variant to a close, but if you like what you saw, be sure to hit our subscribe button and then hit the little bell next to it to make sure you get all our videos. But as always, remember you can like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics or me on Twitter at Arris_Quinones. But I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. Where's my super suit? It's for the greater good, woman. I am your wife.
Oh, the greater good.
I am your wife. I'm the greatest good you'll ever gonna get.